Corporate Identity and Visual Systems, Chapter 20. During World War II, there were huge advances in technology, and after the war, that ability to produce was focused on consumer goods. The opportunities for economic expansion seemed endless. Good design is good business became the mantra of the graphic design community during the 1950s. Perceptive corporate leaders understood the need for a corporate image and identity to appeal to diverse audiences. Now, visual marks had been used to identify for centuries. In medieval times, guilds had proprietary marks used to control trade. Almost every trader and dealer had a trademark or a stamp by the 1700s. In the 1950s, the multinational scope of corporations made it challenging to maintain a cohesive image or brand, but a consistent design system could project and help accomplish corporate goals. Strong individual designers who put their personal imprint on a client's designed image led the first phase in the development of post-war visual identification. Perhaps you remember back to Chapter 12 when we talked about Peter Behrens and his branding program at AEG. Well, Giovanni Pintori at the Olivetti Corporation, which was an Italian typewriter and business machines company, led the way in this epic. Rather than a systematic design program like Behrens developed for AEG, Pintori put his personal stamp on Olivetti's graphic images. Pintori had an ability to create simplified graphic shapes to visualize both mechanisms and processes. His abstract configurations suggest the function or purpose of the product being advertised, and Olivetti garnered international recognition for its commitment to design excellence. In New York, the Columbia Broadcasting System, or CBS, moved to the forefront in corporate identity due to the leadership of its president, Frank Stanton, who understood the potential of art and design in corporate affairs, and its art director, William Golden. The CBS trademark, a pictograph of an eye designed by Golden, is one of the most successful trademarks of the 20th century. However, consistency in how the trademark was used was not considered necessary to the effectiveness of the corporate identity. Rather, its ongoing success depended on the quality and intelligence of each successive design solution. A climate of creative freedom at CBS encouraged fine artists like Ben Shahn to accept commissions to create illustrations for CBS ads. The result, compared to other advertising of the period, was a high level of artistry. Here's a good example of one of the innovative design ideas put forward by CBS Television. In 1945, George Olden was hired to establish the CBS graphics department and design on-air visuals for its new television division. Olden was the first African American to achieve prominence as a graphic designer. He designed on-air graphics from the center out. He used symbolic imagery with strong silhouettes and linear properties. Emphasis was placed on concepts that quickly captured the essence of each program, using the connotative power of simple signs, symbols, and images. Here we see a stamp that he created for the Emancipation Proclamation. He reduces a complex subject, slavery's end, to its most elemental expression. Lou Dorsman became an art director for CBS Radio in 1946, and after several promotions was named vice president of CBS Corporation in 1968. Dorsman's design approach combined a pragmatic sense of effective communication with imaginative problem solving, presented in a straightforward and provocative manner. High-quality solutions to individual communications problems enabled him to project an exemplary image for the corporation. Here we see him standing in front of the typographic mural he designed for the CBS cafeteria. In 1954, Patrick McGinnis, the president of the New York, New Haven, and Hartford Railroad, launched a short-lived but highly visible corporate design program. McGinnis believed a contemporary logo and design program would project a modern and progressive image to industry and passenger alike. Herbert Matter was commissioned to design the new trademark, and Marcel Breuer was commissioned to design the interiors and exteriors of all the new trains. Chermayeff and Geismar Associates moved to the forefront of the corporate identity movement in 1960 and went on to produce more than 100 comprehensive corporate design programs. This included projects for Chase Manhattan Bank of New York, Mobil Oil, the American Revolution Bicentennial, the National Broadcasting Company, and Rockefeller Center. Its solution for the trademark for Chase Manhattan proved that a completely abstract form could successfully function as a corporation's visual identifier and in fact become a memorable character in the inventory of symbolic forms. In response to a study of the bank's design and communications needs, particularly for urban signage, Chermayeff and Geismar designed a distinctive extended sans serif typeface for use with the mark. The Chase Manhattan Bank system became a prototype for other financial institutions. During the 1950s and 60s, many American designers embraced corporate identity as a major activity. This included Paul Rand, Lester Beale and Saul Bass, and design firms like Chermayeff and Geismar. Rand realized that to be functional over a long period of time, a trademark should be based on elementary shapes that are universal, visually unique, and stylistically timeless. Rand achieved a timeless quality in the logotype he designed for IBM. The heavy slab serifs unite all three letters into a unique visual form that was further unified by the distinct square counter spaces of the uppercase B. In the 70s, he updated the mark by adding horizontal stripes at regular intervals to further unify the three forms and evoke scan lines on video terminals, which really express the nature of the company's products. The IBM annual reports designed by Rand in the 50s established a standard for corporate literature. Among Rand's other trademark solutions of this period were the 1959 redesign of the Circle W Westinghouse trademark, which suggests Westinghouse products by evoking wires and plugs, electronic diagrams and circuitry, and molecular structures. In 65, he redesigned the trademark of ABC by reducing each letter to its elemental geometric shape. He was informed by her. Saul Bass designed some of the most iconic corporate logos ever produced. Here we see the range of logos that he created, incredible trademarks that have stood the test of time. German graphic designer and typographer Odell Eicher is best known for having designed pictograms for the 1972 Summer Olympics in Munich, and that proved influential on the use of stick figures for public signage, as well as designing the typeface Rotus. Eicher co-founded the Ulm School of Design. The 1962 Lufthansa German Airlines identification system was conceived and produced at the Ulm Institute of Design in collaboration with Thomas Ganda. Eicher believed a large organization could achieve a uniform and thus significant corporate image by systematically controlling the use of constant elements. Take a look at the range of graphics and branding Odell Eicher created for the Munich Olympics. So if you see a corporate logo, or you see Olympic graphics that have pictographs, these universal signs, you know that you're looking at the Corporate Identity and Visual Systems chapter. He directed the design team for the 72 20th Olympiad in Munich, Germany, and using a grid, developed a way to showcase all the different sports. This was very useful because people come to the Olympics from many different countries. Massimo Vignelli was an Italian designer who worked in a number of areas ranging from package design through houseware design and furniture design to public signage and showroom design. He was the co-founder of Vignelli Associates with his wife Leila. His ethos was, if you can design one thing, you can design everything. And this was reflected in the broad range of his work. He worked firmly within the modernist tradition and focused on simplicity through the use of basic geometric forms in all his work. Unimark rejected individualistic design and sought objectivity through the use of the grid, a basic organizational structure set up to guide the implementation of graphic communications. Because it was considered the most legible type family, Helvetica was used for all Unimark visual ID systems. The company established design programs for many large clients including Alcoa, Panasonic, Steelcase, and Xerox. The Knoll program, directed by Vignelli, set the standard for furniture industry graphics for years to come. In 1974, the U.S. Department of Transportation commissioned the AIGA, American Institute of Graphic Arts, the nation's oldest professional graphic design organization, to develop a system of passenger and pedestrian-oriented symbols for use in transportation facilities, with the goal of bridging language barriers and simplifying basic messages. A committee headed by Thomas Geismar studied existing symbol systems for transportation facilities and international events based on 34 subject areas and prepared guidelines for the development of the system, which was designed and drawn by Roger Cook and Don Chinaski of Cook and Chinaski Associates. This was an important first step toward effective graphic communications, transcending cultural and language barriers. So information systems of the Olympic Games were a breakthrough, as international and multilingual audience had to be directed and informed. Among the many outstanding efforts were the design programs for the 1968 Mexico City 19th Olympiad, under the direction of American graphic designer Lance Wyman and British industrial designer Peter Murdoch. The 1972 Munich 20th Olympiad, led by Odell Eicher, which we saw, and the 1984 Los Angeles 23rd Olympiad, spearheaded by the architectural firm the Jerd Partnership and the environmental and graphic design firm Sussman Preja and Company. Information systems was reached by the Olympic Games, at which international audiences needed to understand ideas and concepts. Among the many outstanding efforts was the work of Lance Wyman, and it's particularly compelling because he used a lot of the cultural vernacular of Mexico as well as folk art to inspire these designs. Los Angeles was the only city to bid for the 1984 Olympics. Following a string of disasters in Munich in 1972, Montreal in 1976, and Moscow in 1980, No city was willing to take the risk. Los Angeles was also afraid of losing money, and the city council passed a resolution that no municipal funds could be spent on the games. Faced with the challenge of organizing the 1984 Olympics with little time or money, Chairman Peter Ueberroth turned to the Jerd Partnership to design the games. Jerd armed a team of designers with a kit of inexpensive, lightweight design parts that carried through every element, from major facilities to sports equipment, highway signs to event programs, even judges' blazers. Jerd's solution integrated 130 existing avenues scattered across Southern California and really transformed the city of LA into a cohesive Olympic community that was televised to half the world's population. It also kept to the budget, helping achieve the first profitable Olympics in nearly 50 years. Here's another great example of the wonderful graphics produced at this time. And I was living in Los Angeles in 1984 and working for the advertising agency BBD&O in Westwood. And I'll never forget how everybody cooperated together and even the skies cleared for all of the events. A counterpoint to the rational and structured approach to corporate identity was the design of the MTV identity by Manhattan Design, a New York City studio noted for its independent, risk-taking experimentation, especially for music clients. Partners Pat Gorman, Frank Olinsky, and Patty Rugoff introduced the concept of a logo with a constantly changing persona. Now, this ran contrary to the widely held belief that trademarks and visual identifiers should be absolutely fixed and used in a consistent manner. This was a harbinger of motion graphics. The MTV logo played a major role in redefining visual identity in the electronic age, both for electronic media and print. Random patterns of geometric shapes in this logo convey such a playful resonance. The design of Olympic pictographs and, of course, corporate identity continues through time. Here we see the work of Min Wang for the Beijing Olympics and Sun Wan during the London Olympics. Each design really speaks to the culture and place where it was held. What can it cost to create a new effective logo? It depends on the size of the company, the scope of the work. It can range from bargain basement prices to 10-digit amounts or more. Look at the logo development costs on the left. And now I want to share with you a story about the famous Nike logo. In 1971, Portland State University graphic design student Carolyn Davidson was sitting in the hall, and she was talking about not having enough money to pay fees for a class that she needed. She was approached by the accounting professor Phil Knight about working freelance for his company, Blue Ribbon Sports. They decided to launch their own brand of football shoe called the Nike, and for her work on the right, she was paid just $35.